with a K. I'm Richard.
And I am Carl, the sole sponsor of this podcast, I guess.
I mean, I got a Tim Hortons gift card the other day. I don't know if that counts as a sponsorship, but I appreciate it.
Okay, actually, am I the only patron of this podcast? I've never.
You
actually
are not.
Checked. Oh, well then.
I don't know who the other ones are, but it's not just you.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm. But with that, as we head into various topics, possibly nerdy, sometimes barbecue for some reason. But before that, let's go into what is new in the Karlverse.
Okay. I gotta preface that this is only a theory. Do not take what I say as fact.
Feels correct. Disclaimer. The views held by Carl on Richard and Carl Present are his own, and Richard is not liable for any views held by Carl, nor is Carl liable any views held by Richard, nor are any views held by us considered valid in any deep, meaningful way. If you believe that our views are important, get yourself checked.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Exactly. Like, I got a full essay back about the white cards you missed for Reanimator decks, but please continue.
Okay, anyways, actually, as a side note, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about magic cards, but Sun Titan, that's actually a really good one that I did miss.
So, we're at 1 minute and 45 seconds, and that's how long it took you to break that oath, but please continue.
Anyway.
Oh, actually, no, I need a pause. That would not have been enough time to correctly heat a pizza pocket.
No, it would not have. That's true.
But please, continue.
So, anyone heating pizza pockets has probably missed the oath breaking of this paladin.
Although, for the record, if anyone's first reaction when putting on our podcast is, oh, they ramble for a bit to start, so I'm going to make some pizza pockets, good job.
Okay, so the theory goes like this. My bosses, T and J.
Wait, is that actually true?
That my boss's names start with T and J? Yes. And J's wife her name also starts with J.
So just putting this out
T's
there.
Wife also names start with J.
Is that why it's called
T,
this?
Sorry. No, it's the father of T is also a TJ because the T is a TJ.
That's less fun than T and J creating TJ's Pizza, because, I don't know, somehow that feels like that extra layer of mystique that is completely unnecessary. Like if Mick Donald was forged by a guy named Mick and a guy named Donald.
I was trying to not so subtly redact some information, but I guess I've already doxed myself on this podcast.
A lot of pizza names have T and J as letters in them, so I hope people assume you work at a Taringeros or something. Tangeros.
Anyways, Tangeros Pizza,
right? Where you can get a hole in one.
Sounds like demonic pizza. Anyways, so the theory is that T and J were contract killers, right? And they opened the pizza franchise to launder their contract killer money. I don't support embezzlement, and I don't know that this would actually work in a modern era because the franchise has been around for 35 years. But
so when we talked a couple weeks, was it last week's episode we were talking about the hidden assassin trope? That is all. Please continue.
Anyways, so they opened a pizza place to launder their contract killer money. And then also, besides laundering the money, it gives income security if anything happens to them on the job. And then they to help the business seem more legitimate, they got some franchisees to make it seem like it was actually a bigger business. But as I've mentioned before, our franchise fees are 2% of your net sales. So it's aside from franchises that have zero franchise fees, like apparently Red Swan Pizza, spit on their grave.
I mean, pause for the spit on their grave. So picture in your mind's eye something for me.
Mm-hmm.
So picture a Canadian goose.
Uh-huh.
Made of slices of pizza. Where the wing feathers are pizzas. Now tell me Canadian Goose Pizza isn't a Majestic logo. That is what I pictured
would
when
be
you said Red
Majestic.
Swan Pizza.
No, Red Swan Pizza is like an origami swan.
Boo. Boo. Your
Well, I
paper
mean,
would
it's
be all
appropriate,
greasy
'cause
for
they're-
pizza grease. You couldn't origami it.
I was going to say it's appropriate because their pizza tastes like paper, but that's
know-
probably not true. I'm probably just being mean for no reason.
I mean, could you imagine if you became mean? Then I'd have to be nice to balance it out. So to any pizzerias listening, we believe in yourselves and we're sure you're doing the best you can.
Well, I mean, this isn't related, but Red Swan Pizza is apparently they cut corners on production or on construction when they get their
You're
franchise
going to get us
in,
sued.
and they don't have very high quality pizza. And most importantly, if you don't open a Red Swan in a market with lots of East Indian people, they don't succeed.
What is with the scandalous? Like, dude, we're going to get sued by Red Swan Pizza because they're going to disregard our disclaimer that we don't have opinions and you shouldn't listen to us.
Maybe.
Like, there's so
But, I
much
mean,
layered
they'll look at the numbers
implication,
and
like-
realize it's factual.
We do this live. I don't edit these.
I'm just saying. I mean,
We're going to get
I'm not-
assassinated by, and all that's going to be left next to our graves is a greasy folded origami swan. And our viewers, like our 5 live viewers right now who've tuned in for the first 6 minutes of this, are the only people who are going to have any clue as to why we're dead.
But but our franchises are easy to open. Definitely in the first few franchises, the licensing corporation would finance people to get in, and we have really low franchise
And
fees.
assassins. I believe
and-
the assassin part was the interesting part, not the just shitting on a different pizzeria.
No. It's all part of covering up the fact that they're contract killers.
Yes.
But as time went on, the side hustle, pizza, slowly overtook the main hustle. And
Assassinations.
they decided, and they decided to go straight.
Well,
Uh,
I was going to make a joke about a straight man walks into the bar, and then after a bunch of fruity cocktails, he comes out.
that's funny. I shouldn't laugh. It's but it is the pun. That was a good pun.
Yes.
Anyways,
Just yes, and then the episode just goes to silent. That was a good pun. Yes. Like, we don't have someone to jump cut to credits for us, or jump cut to the episode title, Always Sunny in Philadelphia style, because then the episode would have been like, Richard and Carl make a terrible pun.
but now, like I said, the franchise has been around for 35 years, and it seems as of late that my boss in particular has decided to double down on ensuring that the franchise is actually more sustainable. Opening
I really
more
thought you were
locations
about to
stay
say
open.
assassinations, and I'd have to give another disclaimer that we're basically fiction.
No. Well, actually, further evidence to my theory. My boss has been to Japan. He's been to Italy. He's been to Hawaii.
So,
he's
what
been
if-
to Arizona?
I need to pause for a
He's
second. I have a counter conspiracy theory, and we'll get back to yours. So, you know what we're always asking? Like, oh, I can't believe who is the one guy listening to our podcast in this obscure place?
Mhm.
What if it's been your boss this whole time? On
Well,
his
I
assassination
mean,
missions?
Yeah, maybe I'm about to get assassinated. I don't know.
No, much better is, like, assassination targets are forced to listen to our podcast as an interrogation tactic. Please, I'll tell you anything. They missed Sun Titan, please.
But anyways, so anyway, my boss is well traveled all around the world, and my assumption is that these so-called vacations were actually jobs.
Yeah.
But regardless, now that the contract killer money is starting to dry up, he needs to focus on actually making the
can I give a
franchise
counterpoint?
sustainable going forward.
What if the contract killing money's the same, and it's actually just inflation in food prices? Like, it's just murders pay the same, because it's been the same, like, John Wick style 3 gold coins the entire time, and a gold coin just doesn't go as far anymore. Stupid impractical gold coins. Everyone uses digital now. Like, stores don't even take a assassin's gold coin anymore. They're like, what are you doing, Grandpa? Do you not have tap and pay?
Oh, man. That'd be fun. Anyways, getting distracted with hypothetical practical jokes.
Well, to be fair, though, I now have a head picture of people with their, like, red swan emblems kung fu fighting a person on a rooftop who has, like, a shotgun cane. And then, like, they get caught and they all just put back on their pizza outfits to pretend that's what they were doing as a pizza deal. And then as soon as people walk away, they go back to assassinating each other.
For a very long time, my boss's slogan was peace, love, and death to family pizza.
Which, I mean, is... So I think we just made a better Sakamoto Days because, honestly, if it was about rival pizzerias and they all had highly trained assassin employees... Like, we need to get that into Show and Jump. Oh, crap, I just manifested it. It'll probably start airing next week.
Anyways, so they're on the straight and narrow, trying to keep up with inflation since their contract killing prices haven't met inflation. And they've decided that we need to actually, like, go out and maintain some level of standards. So that all of our franchises are consistent, and that, you know, then hopefully we can expand. I don't know if they really are intent on expanding to be a national food chain, but at the very least, we want to expand out of Saskatchewan more so.
Maybe counterpoint. So every person I've ever met since leaving Saskatchewan, I've said never go there. What if I've just messed your business growth up by just telling people physically not to go to Saskatchewan so frequently?
I mean, I don't think you're gonna mess up our business growth strategy, because there isn't really one. Like, that's my boss.
Oh, it's exactly Boruto's why they can't mess up the plot of Boruto.
So, all of that rambling is to say, I'm currently staying in a fairly nice hotel at a small town where there was a TJ's Pizza that failed to meet our standards, which are pretty low.
I mean, we joked a few times about sponsorship, but could you imagine if they sponsored us? Literally, one of our quotes was TJ's Pizzas. They failed their standards, and those are pretty low.
Well, before I came to the Yorkton is where I am.
Yeah.
We went and did a franchise compliance check in one of the other locations in our city. And basically he was just laughing and smiling the whole time, and he just passed them on everything, except the dough guy wasn't wearing a TJ shirt, and the owner got personally offended because he's like, oh, that guy doesn't even speak English. He never comes up to the front. I'm not spending $45 to give him a shirt.
What?
It's like, oh, okay.
That got racist for no reason.
But no, I'm assuming he's from Jordan.
Yeah.
Which is across the river from the Gaza Strip.
Oh, that seems like a lovely place to be. So, Carl, going forward for the rest of this episode, we are not to discuss anything about or around the Gaza Strip ever on our podcast.
All right.
Please continue carefully.
I'll make sure never to mention this owner that happens to be from a country remotely close to that area.
Thank you. Well, you can finish your story. Anyway. You just can't, like, get into politics, because neither of us are educated or qualified enough to talk to length to that topic. And could you imagine, like, what's new in My Hero Academia, and you get an concise breakdown of the Middle East politics?
All I'm saying is that you say that sounded racist, but he probably actually is just helping people immigrate.
Counterpoint. The reason it sounded racist, I'm not saying it was, but I feel the need to justify this a bit, is typically, and I've worked in kitchens and things as well, if you say, I didn't get this guy X because he doesn't even speak English, that doesn't bode well for the person who said the sentence because he doesn't even speak English. That has a lot of weighted implications.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially,
true.
like, kitchens have a lot of temporary or permanent foreign labor. I've met a lot of lovely people from the Philippines this way. But to say, like, oh, we're not going to have them interact with customers, and that's the first reason why...
They didn't give him a uniform. ...
is not great, because that's still... It's like joyous discrimination, like no one wants really to wear a uniform, but it is still like... It's a slippery slope is all I'm saying. Like, that's a red flag sentence. Like, I'd put, like, 1 check mark on it, and when it gets to 3, I'd have to, like, actually investigate. That's all I'm saying.
Well, anyway, that was pretty much the only thing he failed on his compliance check. And my boss was like, well, you know, I had to fail you on something.
So, I have professors like that. I had a professor once say, and I quote, I gave you 89% because I really wanted to see what you do for the extra 1%. But I also believe, just putting this out there for uniforms, so uniforms are interesting, and I'm going to go on like a kitchen deep dive because you prompted me, and to our listeners, we'll get to a nerdy topic, I promise. So, uniforms, the idea is that if your uniforms are fresh and laundered out of place, they're clean, they're sanitary, and a well-designed uniform will show up any stains and things easily so you know to clean it. I firmly believe it should be provincial law that all food service establishments have on-site washers and dryers, so you can just take your uniform off at the end of your shift, throw it in the washer, and the opening person just throws it all in the dryer, because then it's clean.
Right.
But when people wear their uniform to work, you've defeated the point of the uniform for food safety reasons. So, if you're wearing it just because of branding and public image, then I think it's justifiable to have the employees that people don't see not wear the uniform because you're doing it for aesthetics. If you're doing it for sanitation, it should be laundered by the store because that will ensure it, not because people shouldn't have to do their own laundry, but people won't do their own laundry.
That's true.
The only way you could assure a clean uniform every day is if you have a nice stocked rotation of them. And one place I worked had dry cleaners do this for like aprons and linens and things. And suspiciously not uniforms. It's like, we used to do it for uniforms, but now it's your problem. Like, but your food's getting potentially contaminated because of this. Like, it's just the state of affairs. So in conclusion, if you tell people you need a uniform and you need to keep it clean, just hook up a washer and dryer if you can, like especially when building new stores. Either provide it, and if your argument is, well, they'll bring it from home, then you kind of undercut your argument that they should have to wear a uniform.
In any event,
Anywho, that was an unrelated TED Talk I am sure was worth the 3-4 minutes I used on that. I have to TLDR it. TLDR. Richard believes in uniforms. Richard believes if you're told to keep your uniform clean, you should be given the tools and equipment to do so. Because, quite frankly, people wear Crocs in kitchens, which cause Croc-shaped holes in your foot from hot water.
Yeah, I mean, they need to be closed-toed shoes.
I know that, and you know that. But you know how many people I've sent out to get new shoes in my times in kitchens? Because they're like, I'm going to wear a plastic shoe full of holes to be above boiling grease. And I'm like, but you'll die. I'm not being mean about it. You'll legitimately die.
Anyway, the whole point of the story is that what's new with me, I'm currently away from home helping some new franchise owners try and break into the market because the first 2 owners of this store just had a hard time of it and started doing weird franchise approved things.
Very fair. Although I do find it fascinating to be like that you're like you're the national exploration guy, which is actually like, it's interesting career growth you got that you get to go on work trips because you just don't think about pizzeria work trips. And I'm just happy for you for that. That sounds lovely.
I mean, it is lovely, like, especially opportunity like this, where my store is, I believe it is the busiest pizza store in Saskatchewan. Like the whole province. I mean, that might be a low bar because we only have 1 million people and we have so much free
but Earth's pretty infinite, right? So being the best at anything is an achievement. Like if someone rolled up to me and they're like, "I'm the best Duel Masters player in Alberta," I'd be like, "Good job, dude."
But so then I come to this location, and they in a month they have the sales that we have in a weekend. It's like, yeah, I'm here to work, and I'm being genuinely helpful. It's like I'm cleaning up their POS system, and I'm giving.
For the record,
POS
POS
right
means
recipes.
point of sales, not piece of shit. So you did not say I went there to clean up their pieces of shit.
Their piece of shit system.
Yeah, which is so savage. You're like, but it is a piece of shit system, and you know it. Unless they want to sponsor us.
I don't know where the other franchisees get these menu files from, and maybe it's just like a personal like pet peeve, but like you can like the individual franchisees can make sure that their buttons are all the same size, and they can make sure that they're lined up neatly in a grid. When I get here, the buttons are just all over the place. They're random sizes. They're overlapping. They have like a ticket display on one page, and then the next page is like, oh yeah, you don't need a ticket display on the sides and past this page. That's just for pizzas. It's like, well, why? Every other store I've been to has a ticket display on every single page that you can go through the menu. Like, what?
So just putting this out there, I fully relate. I'm an editor. The things I see that break my soul from highly trained people that I'm like, okay, why would you so it was a slide, right? And it was it was a display with different numbers and how they represent GPs, right? They use dashes to separate instead of dots. You don't think that's a big deal. Did you know -5 and 5 are very different numbers? So if you put a dash separating all your numbers, they turn into negative numbers and look terrible?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, not as bad as the thing I saw that where it was a sentence that managed to have 3 M dashes in it. Oof.
Huh.
Anywho, I'm just saying I relate. I also do web page layouts and displays, so I can fully be like, why would you do this? I don't understand. It'll be like, we have a quick reading guide for students, and it'll clock in at 3,000 words. I'm like, can you make it 30? I've literally told people, make this announcement the size of a tweet or they will not read it. I literally launched the same announcement on 2 different pages, one original and one tweet size, to see the engagement rate. And it was, 50 to nearly 100 times more engagement for the shorter one?
Wow.
Because they didn't click the expand text button, because that's another button to click. No one's got time for that. If you go to read a website and you have to click the see more button, you're gone. GG.
Game over. But so, I mean, at the end of the day, I am here, I am doing work, but the level of intensity is so much lower, it's almost like a vacation. And the franchise development guy, he knows I need a hotel with a swimming pool.
That's great. The idea that your contract can have demands in it just fills me with joy. It's like, this continental breakfast only has bran muffins. You are aware that Carl is coming, right? Like, do you really want to anger the Carl heads with their Carl face tramp stamps?
I do have some bad news for the person with the Carl tattoo.
You found them? They're real?
No. I mean, if they are real, I have bad news, and that is, I have a small problem where if I have too much neck hair, beard hair, my chin gets super itchy.
Where are you going with this? Because I really thought you were about to surprise engagement announcement and there's a hyphen in your name now or something. What?
No.
I have a bad news for the Carl heads out there. I'm like, are you dying?
No. When I'm at home, it doesn't get itchy. But when I go to work, it gets itchy. And sometimes I forget to shave. So one day it was just really itchy. And so I had to go home and shave. And I was in a hurry, and I screwed up my mustache, and I had to shave off my mustache. So I might not match their Carl tattoo at the moment.
So first off, there's several implications that happen here that are beautiful. Implication the first, that you took a shaving break in the middle of your shift. Implication the second, that at some point since I've seen you last, you developed an iconic mustache. Implication the third, whoever got this Carl tattoo was able to find you mustache ready and get the Carl tattoo with a mustache in, so that like it's not even abstract, like it is your face on, or like if it's a side profile, it's not like a Mario mustache, like you're not using it to divide the pixels. And then the fourth thing is, and then this mustache will never return, so their tattoo is now forever inaccurate because you did enough damage shaving it. The mustache is gone forever. These are the implications of what you have told me just now, and it is delightful. Okay. Also, the implication that if you didn't shave, you would look like a tattoo indefinitely because your image is that consistent.
Well, you're right. I'm really worried about whoever got the Carl tattoo. I mean, if it's just my name, I guess that's fine. But
no, it's not. It is definitely your head on a dragon body.
Then it's just they might meet me and realize that I don't match their tattoo, and maybe they won't even recognize me because they're looking for the dragon body, and it's like,
so that's another implication that there's two of them and they're using their tattoo like Prison Break style as a roadmap to find you. And it's just full of hints from our podcast for them to piece together to try and dox you, done up as a series of elaborate tattoos. Like one of the tattoos is just Kirby in Smash mode, because I think that might be relevant to the hunt.
Well, one last thing before, because I mean, really, what's new with me is I'm on a work trip. But one last thing.
I have to give a mini tangent first.
Okay.
So I was in one of my second year classes, and it was professional writing. Mm. And the unit was a chapter in a book on the 7 C's of conciseness. Mm. And it was about 6,000 words about writing concisely. I'm sorry, but if you're using 7 C's of conciseness, you've missed the point. The point is be concise. How does the book on conciseness have 7 bullet points on it? So it's like, to be concise, I'm in a hotel. Perfect. That is a beautifully concise 4-word sentence. But if you wanted the 7 C's of conciseness to explain why your story is just more concise, you've missed the point. I'm permanently scarred by that chapter on conciseness being 6,000 words.
I mean, okay, so firstly, the reason I'm in the hotel is one of those C's being contract killing.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. I like how I wanted myself. Yes, I will always yes and Carl. Wait, what did you just say? No, committing. And also, as you said that, the light on my garden went out.
Oh.
So you're like contract killing, and then just the lights went out in my room?
Uh-oh.
I'm good. I turned the other light on, but it was very dramatic.
But okay, so the one last thing before I'm going to ask what's new with you, and it's not actually anything new with me. It's a joke that I believe I am the original creator.
Okay. Note, the following joke about to be told by Carl may be offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion is always advised for this show.
Okay. How many Prison Break characters does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
All of them, because there's so many twists.
So, I feel like you've told me this joke before.
I probably have.
But I still love it.
It's one of my favorites. I may have even told it on the podcast, because we did that episode where we were talking about blonde jokes.
We did, didn't we? Like,
anyways.
It's like when I was talking last week where I got a loot box of mystery food. Our podcast is a loot box of topics.
Well, another deep well of interesting topics is what's new with you there, Richard?
Nothing.
Oh,
okay, I actually have a story. I just kind of wanted to do the bit there. So, I've started going to like more club and campus events because I can. So it was the Creative Writing Club's wrap-up reading session of you could read whatever you wanted. And they were using up their club budget because...
It's just like you go there to read, like a library?
No, it's like you go out... So over the term, you would go and do like little reading sprints with prompts and chat with friends and whatever, right? And then at the end of the year, you pick a thing or two that you wrote, either in the club or anywhere, and you read it to the room.
Ooh.
So we set
like
the
a poetry slam.
Exactly. I should have just said poetry night, but I didn't want to dismiss nonfiction and creative fiction as genres at the... Anywho. But yes, If you're picturing a poetry night in your brain, you're probably right.
Okay.
So we have the table set up, chairs set up, we go to this thing. Club budgets reset between semesters, and it's one of those like government budget things where you have to spend it all because they reset you back up to the starting amount. It's not that they give you extra money, so there's no reason to save it. You know, to stop clubs from hoarding money. So they got some prizes for this thing, and it was anyone who reads a piece gets entered into a raffle to win a prize.
Okay.
And there's some pretty sick prizes in this thing, so I'm like, all right. One of them was like a wireless sticker printer thing that like your phone just prints stickers.
Ah, cool.
Like I would use that just to make kobolds to put on a map. So I'm like, ooh, an e-reader. Yeah, I'm down for this contest. Also socialization. So I read a couple things, some other classmates. One person who was in the club who wandered in from an accounting class just read a paragraph from their accounting paper.
Okay.
So it's just accounting terms, straight up, being read to us. And we're like looking around like...
I was going to say, I understand why you were saying that we shouldn't be dismissive of nonfiction writing.
No, you should be on this one, because like we're looking around in this club being like, creative nonfiction's a genre. Like when I say something like, my father died the way that he lived, stupidly. It's a fact, but it's fun. Yes, I'm calling that a fun fact. I'm a complex person with layers, like an onion, like a Shrek. Same body type. Anywho, so we have this readings going where I read my nonfiction piece about my father. Then I read the opening of chapter 3 of the Minuet of Sorcery because I got really poetic with that for no particular reason. Because a character who can see colors is looking out and watching the color yellow like anxiety spread through as people open news. It was a good scene. I like my own work. Anywho, so everyone does their reading, and we're watching the prizes getting drawn, and me and my friend Aaron at the table are like, there's a 100% chance the guy who just read a chunk of nonfiction thing out of a textbook wins.
Okay.
Because that's the only way this can happen. So, of course, when his name gets drawn for the nice new e-reader, no one's even like, everyone wants to almost be upset, right? Because this person very clearly saw a poster that said, read something, get prize. We've never seen this man before in our lives. Rolls up, reads literally something, gets prize. But that is the only way it could have happened. Because the most powerful force in the universe is irony. And honestly, I just need to set up my life in such a way that my success is the most ironic thing that can happen. And that's how I make it big.
Right.
And I've done a good job doing that by being the doofy Richard people have come to know and love. Because Richard being a millionaire would just be deeply ironic. You know it's true. Like, I'm the kind of person who'd, like, buy a private jet, and there just would be nowhere to park it, so it just runs out of fuel and falls in the ocean. Like, deep irony is fine. Like, I'd become a best-selling author for nonfiction because of a thing I submitted on a whim, and no one would ever read my fantasy novel I love. I'd get brought on board to write the storyboard for a Boruto Gachapon game.
Ooh.
That's what would happen to me, is I'd have to write Boruto as directed by a focus group.
Ooh, I mean, that sounds like it could be fun.
That's the thing is, because I'm so whimsical, ironic things still amuse me deeply. It's kind of like, you're like, all right, let's ironically watch a bunch of bad anime. I'd be like, I'll get the nachos! And then I'd load them up with cheese because it's ironic because I'm lactose intolerant.
So this person, like, you seriously had never met them before or never seen them before?
No, but they recognized me like everybody does, so, you know, should probably stop putting myself on the posters. But yeah, it seems like a random person walked into a wrap-up party, read a piece of accounting terms, got an e-reader, left, and we'll probably never see him again. And keep in mind that the entire room sat there for a solid 5 minutes as he read accounting terms to a bunch of creative writing students and photography students and architect students and things. Oh no, you went completely silent. Either it's an audio problem, which is extremely likely, or my story was so shocking.
No, I asked if the guy made out with your e-reader like a bandit, and then somehow I got kicked from the call, even though it said I was still in the call.
Well, the TLDR is yes. They have successfully acquired an e-reader like a bandit, and we all thought it was really funny, because that's the only way it could have went. If there's one thing a cackle of writers would understand, it's irony. So that was like
Well,
what was new with me is I went to a couple poetry nights, a couple of my friends got published in some things, and I ate hella blocks of cheese.
You ate tons of cheese.
Well,
with your using your lactate.
Yeah, I was prepared. I had medication. So the thing is, it's an hour and a half bus ride to get to my campus. And it costs about $4 in bus fare because big cities hate poor people.
Okay.
And I need to make sure if I'm going to an event, I at least consume the $8 worth of transport cost.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Because at these events, there's always like, oh, we need someone to finish this. I'm like, finish these mini muffins and just throw the mini muffins in my mouth. Because muffins the size of Timbits are the best thing ever, but somehow weirdly rare. Like, they're the most obvious invention known to man that no one has.
Well, my girlfriend doesn't have a mini muffin tray, but maybe if I got her one, she would make you some mini muffins.
Yes! I mean, that would be so nice, thank you.
Or wait, do you have a mini muffin tray?
Of course I do.
Well, so provided your oven isn't full of pizza boxes, maybe we could convince her to bake you some for your birthday.
You know the joke there being that I'm still a trained chef and a decently trained baker, and you should be asking me to make you things.
I mean, I know it's like a month away, but like we're going to be there for your birthday, so aside from going to Marineland.
Oh yeah, I haven't sent you my school schedule yet. I should do that. Long story short, I don't have class on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, or Mondays. And the classes I do have are like a 3-hour block in a day that can definitely be planned around because it's like, oh, if I have an 8 to 11 class the day Carl shows up, Carl shows up at noon. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Heck yeah. As I just I'll just publicly post in the stream my school schedule, sure. So someone could kidnap me to figure out how to get a Carl tattoo.
Well, I mean, they're going to follow the map on from their friend's Carl tattoo.
So, you know what's deeply ironic, right? The idea that our fans find me to get information about you. Richard, right? Yeah, from Richard and Carl present Deep Space and Dragons, yeah? Tell me about Carl. Do you want my autograph? No, I tuned out the Richard parts. Those are the bad parts of the show.
I mean, pictures and information about me on the internet, at least I believe, are surprisingly scarce. I think the most recent picture of me is from 15 years ago, where I don't remember why, but I put on purple leopard print tank top, and I was being carried around by my large brother-in-law. Someone took a picture and posted it on Facebook.
See, the idea would be that someone would ask me about you and not recognize me, and I'd be standing under a poster of myself. And they'd be like, they'd go up to everyone like, do you know who Carl is? Do you know who Carl is? I'm like, do you know who I am? No. I'm Richard. I handed you my business card.
Why would they be wandering around Ontario looking for me?
Because they know you're visiting for Richard Fest.
Right.
And their plan is to try and intercept you specifically at my school. Right. On the off chance you stopped there.
Well, I mean, there's a pretty good chance that we'll be picking you up from your class that day, so.
Oh, man. Actually, it'd be really funny if you and, your girlfriend, an acting troupe, just showed up in suits and escorted me out. The best jokes are the ones where I would just never explain it.
But I mean, now that we've talked about our own travel agendas and
for a solid 38 minutes, remember when we used to try and fit our entire topic in 38 minutes?
Well, I mean, you said that you were going to try and bring me up to speed on My Hero Academia. So I figured we would make it a speed run challenge.
Excellent. Okay, so spoilers for My Hero Academia, or Boku no Hero if you're a weeb. So, first off, the last chapter did 3 things to deeply damage me.
Okay, actually, just 1 second here. Boku no Hero
Academia.
Doesn't that roughly translate to... Oh, okay, Boku no Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm pretty sure Boku no Hero just translates to, I am a hero.
Yeah, I think it translates to My Hero Academia. God damn it, I was about to use the words to translate to the thing I already knew. Alright, so...
Anyways,
I'm going to literally start with the most recent chapter, and then work our way backwards and forwards.
Okay.
So, in the most recent chapter, 3 things happened that did immense amounts of spiritual damage to me.
Mm-hmm.
So first,
Deku got his arms back.
So, actually, how far did you even get into My Hero? Because I know the guy ate hair.
Recent chapter.
Huh?
I just read the most recent chapter because I was curious if he got his arms back.
So the first thing is when Eraserhead said he's 31 years old. That deeply hurt me.
Okay.
Me and you are older than Eraserhead and President Mike and have their exact personalities? Not really. And ironically, personality-wise, you'd probably be closer to the bright outgoing one, but I'm also a bright outgoing one, so it doesn't really work.
It doesn't really work that well at all.
No, I think Panda would be closer to an Eraserhead. Anywho, it's like him looking ragged, missing an eye, missing a leg, missing an arm, somehow able to move. Be like, I'm 31 years old. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. Second, they ended last week with a cliffhanger that he lost both his arms to immediately resolve it.
I kind of noticed. I was like, why did they bother then?
Thank you. Why did they bother indeed? And then lastly, they're like, they want to do like the Marvel Endgame portal scene for some reason. But like, none of these characters matter.
Yeah, I don't think I recognized any of the characters that came through the portal on the last page.
And the thing is, this is going to sound really dumb, but you know how in The Breaker, a really good manhwa? Anywho.
Manhwa.
Where, like, the rooftop sniper just shoots the super martial artist because he let his guard down? Well, let her guard down? Question. If they're fighting a world-ending nuclear bomb threat, right? And he just emerged in his new form, and the guy who cancels ability just showed up, why is no one on a rooftop to just shoot him? Why has no one shot anybody with a gun? They have guns. There's a person like, my quirk is my arm's a sniper rifle. I'm like, cool, you know what sniper rifles are. And there's like one scene where they like deployed planes with weird laser guns. I'm like, just shoot him. Take away his superpowers and shoot him. I don't normally yell that in animes, but it's like, his final form's gone, he's weak and frail, his powers are limited, what do we do? And I'm like, you shoot him. They're not trying to take him alive, clearly. That ship sailed a while ago.
So, I mean, you're definitely in just let the series end mode,
right?
As you've said it on previous chapters, or previous podcasts, I mean. But just shoot him? That would be, like... So I think that would be a terribly anticlimactic ending.
Let me, like, subtract a bit from the just shoot him what I mean by that. So I don't actually mean literally, although it would be really funny. What I mean by that is... So, they had a bunch of characters fight him in a sky arena. Then they had him split into 2 villains, where Robo All Might fought. Slowly until he turned into a baby All for One. Then we had Deku throw his superpower at Shigaraki to hit him with a plot twist that wasn't shocking at all, that we all figured out already. To then hit him with another plot twist, to lose his powers in his arms, to get his arms back up, to then fight the ghost of the original person who possessed them in the body. And I'm like, guys, this put Frieza to bed a while ago for time wasting. Like, they've went full Sukuna here. And it's less that I want someone just to shoot him, it's that you already did every possible dramatic end of the fight thing you could think of. Like I'm going to heroically give up my superpowers to throw it at him to weaken him. What could happen that's left that's cool when he already punched him so already blew off both his arms and just got his arms back? Is he going to do it again?
Deku gave up his superpowers? Because I literally only just read like the last chapter.
So let's rewind to the start of My Hero before we deep dive into the ending. So My Hero starts with I want to be a hero. No, you can't.
Because he has no quirk.
Weirdly fine with that. So my immediate thought, being a fan of the genre, was, oh, nice, he's going to become Batman. I'm just going to give you my broken-ass superpower. I'm like, well, that's lame, but sure. And then they got a bit of my faith back when they're like, you have Rock Lee problem. You have so much superpower, you explode when you use it. And I'm like, okay. So it's literally, you gave him too much power, and now he's breaking his body, and he actually gets to stay scarred because you don't have MacGuffin healing yet.
Right.
Yet. Put a pin in that.
Operative word. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. He's learning his classmates who have weird powers, and they're doing different, like, hero things along with their school things. Okay. I'm liking this mix. This is pretty good. You put academia in the title. There's some academia in here. Deku tries to fight with intelligence to make up for him not being able to use his power well. All right, so far so good. They get jumped at a theme park, and All Might gets to be awesome, and there's villains. And I'm like, okay, sure. And what is this weird genetic mutant thing? I'm like, that's a good question, Joe. Okay. And then they're like, all right, now we're going to speed run her along and have them get jumped at a different outdoor theme park. I'm like, wow, do they just not have security and love their children? Like, they just got jumped at a theme park. Why did you guys go out into the woods unannounced when you got jumped by terrorists 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Also, why is everyone so incompetent in this show? You have cell phones. What do you mean you just can't find each other? Cell phones exist.
Okay.
So, sure, it's like, and we captured Bakugo. All right. And it's like, oh, yeah, there's a big sports festival in the middle there where they did their tuning exam stuff, which actually made sense in this contest.
Okay, but the Bakugo, that's...
Sparky Boom Boom Man.
Explodey guy. Okay, I was thinking it was either Explodey Man or Fire and Ice guy.
All right, so we'll go with Defective Zuko and Sparky Boom Boom Man for the rest of this catch up.
Yeah, okay.
So at this point in the show, we have Sparky Boom Boom Man, a literal bully. They took the trope too far. Honestly, should be in jail for domestic abuse. Deku, who kind of sucks because you have a protagonist that reacts instead of acts. So kind of had Gohan problem weirdly, where it's like they want him to be a pacifist, but not really. And his goal of be the best was vague. And, like, he's a dweeby nerd character who never does things intelligently. It's like, I don't like that. I don't like when you tell me a character's smart and make them not be smart. But, anywho. So we have the tuning exam about Zuko's angst and trying to win his honor back from his father or whatever the fuck his plot arc was.
Right.
Best part of the show. Because we hit that restrictions of like, yeah, Deku, if you use your explodey punches, your arms break, and you have like 3 sport events to get to, so you have to actually like run a marathon and like rocket sled to victory and stuff.
Right. And then he like concentrated his power into like his fingers so he could not
break each finger one at a time. Objectively sick.
Yeah.
Clever use of a power, honestly. So instead of using it twice, he could use it 10 times because he had more limbs. Genius.
Right.
No notes.
Right.
So then we get to Explodey Boom Boom Man wins the tuning exams and is super pissed because Zuko took a dive.
Okay.
Cool. Whatever. So then we get Zuko gets kidnapped. We're like, okay, this is going to be cool. Because this is Zuko's, Sparky Boom Boom's redemption arc, right? Of, hey, you're a dick. You've been a dick the whole time. You've been captured the villains. They're like, you should join us because you're a dick. He's like, nah, fuck you. Okay, let's give him some characterization. You introduce 30 characters, you might as well flesh out 2 or 3 of them. It's fine.
Right.
So that's a fine plot arc. And they're like, all right, now we're just going to have the main boss battle of the series. And I'm like, excuse you? It's like, all right, we're going to have All Might fight evil All Might in their big epic battle. And then All Might's going to lose all his superpowers. And it's going to be Jotaro versus Dio, Zaworlding, rollering. It's going to be awesome. And I'm like, seems like a little premature to just take All Might out of the show, because the premise was he can change less and less training a disciple, and Deku's been in school for 2 months now, but sure.
Okay.
It was a 16, but it came too early.
Right.
We'll get back to that later. And, like, Eraserhead had already been injured from his, like, literal first fight, so it's like, yeah, his power to negate some powers, but not all powers, got limited because MacGuffin reasons, because if a character can just negate powers, then why would... We're like, all right. And then we're like, okay, we'll do a little bit of school shenanigans, and we'll have Deku fight the mob. I'm like, okay, I'll watch Deku fight the mob, sure. And then the people that for some reason are loyal to the serial killer kid who turns people to dust, who's just a dick to everybody, are like, we're going to be found family. It's like, that should be literally be impossible, but sure. You know, because, you know when people serve the clearly insane villain who'll just kill you, and I'm like, why would you do that?
Right.
It is a weird trope. This guy, I hate everybody. My face itches, and I'm incompetent. And I'm like, I have a squad now. I'm like, why would you?
Okay.
So, they kidnap Bakugo. They save Bakugo. Didn't go anywhere. Kind of disappointed. Really thought they'd go somewhere with that. And he's fighting the Mafia.
Wait. Okay, so Bakugo didn't get kidnapped again.
No, Bakugo's good. Everyone does their internships in their first year, which actually bugged me. There's another tuning exam in there, but we'll just ignore that one. Nothing interesting happened in the second tuning exam.
Okay.
Because the first one's like, this is our school tuning exam. The second one is, this is so we can get college internships tuning exam. Which leads to my recurring anime rant that every character should be 5 years older for any of these shows to make sense. No one should ever give a provisional crime-fighting license to a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Ever. For any reason. Ever.
Okay.
I don't know if you should give a provisional crime-fighting license to a guy whose hands are grenades to a 21-year-old with a criminology degree. Like, if they were in college, I'd be allowing this. But they're in high school. Every person in this world is incompetent.
Right.
The idea that you would let a high schooler tackle thugs on the street, and remember, knives and guns exist in this universe.
Right.
Someone could just, at any point in any of this, shot Deku in the face. None of them have, like, bullet-resistant powers.
Fair.
This doesn't bug me as much, except when you're having a teenager tackle criminals in the street, who could just stab him with a regular knife.
Huh.
And many villains do just use regular knives. One of the most dangerous villains has syringes and knives, and that's it. And they shapeshift, but that doesn't really do anything until it has to. And at this point, my hero's actually been pretty solid. Deku fights the mob, they find the person with the MacGuffin healing power, I roll my eyes, because I'm like, wait, why would you not immediately use that on All Might and solve all of the show's problems immediately? And they're like, because it's inconsistently written how this power works.
Makes sense.
I gotta rewind you till you explode, so I get to damage myself faster than you heal me so I don't explode. I'm like, your own logic made no sense. It's like you weren't quite going with a Deadpool thing of her giving you cancer from overhealing you, but it's kind of like that, but also time goes backwards.
Huh.
So, Deku fights evil Edward Elric at 100% of his power. And that's where the writer realized he made a mistake. He gave Deku a cool fight scene at 100% of his power. Now what does he do with Deku with the rest of the show? So they pull the thing from Rekoa of the Flame of, you actually have 7 other lame powers to unlock we've never talked about.
Right.
And I'm like, is this a retcon? Is this an Ichigo is a Quincy all along situation? Or are you just really bad at foreshadowing? Because if you're going to give someone 7 powers, you have All Might also have the 7 powers.
Yeah, All Might's power set did just seem to be the old patriotic super strength.
Right? And like, if All Might, because they made a quip earlier, it's like, no one really knows what All Might's power is. If they showed that All Might had a bunch of different powers, this wouldn't have been an ass pull. But I legitimately think he used up his 100% Deku too early and had no idea what to do with Deku for the rest of the show.
Even though Deku's the main character.
Yeah. So, evil Edward Elric gets punched to death by Deku for mutilating a child. Fair. Then the obviously evil League of Villains betray evil Edward Elric. Also fair. Why would you think the sociopath gang would help out your crime gang when they're just a bunch of sociopaths who've never accomplished anything? I don't know, but sure. At this point, I'm actually on board, because then they do a culture festival where they put on a song and dance number to help the traumatized little girl be less traumatized. And then they fight a blogger.
A blogger.
The villain, Gentleman Thief, the Gentleman Thief, and his blogging assistant Hacker Girl were literally planning to break into the UA thing and live stream it for clicks.
Wait, that was their villainous plan?
That's amazing. Don't pretend that that's not the most interesting motivation a character in the show has had. I'm evil
because it is an
my
interesting motivation, but like, that's hardly even evil.
But that's the thing is like, the problem is terrorists and things have been breaking in, and they're worried that if he breaks in, they'd have to shut down the event. So they literally had to fight this guy to stop him from getting to the school, so they can get stopped by the school security, because then they'd have to shut down the school festival for a security concern.
Right.
See, when your characters are 15,
interesting motivation.
That's actually good stakes, right? A character who's in their first year of high school fighting a guy with rubber powers who's a blogger whose biggest concern is they might ruin their dance number is actually good stakes for that level of a show. I mean, at this point, he's already fought the mafia, serial killers, a guy who licks swords creepily, people have been stabbed in the spine, and apparently there's just clone mutant things they never quite bother to explain. But I'm like, this is like, I like this better. I'm gonna be real. I enjoy their tuning exam stuff, and their blogger wants to break into school stuff more. Then they go Great Ninja War / Quincy invasioning on me for no reason. So, they're like 12 villains, then meet like the actual villain army that has 50,000 villains for some reason. And instead of doing what America would do and just bombing the villain complex with 50,000 villains in it, They like send in a bunch of heroes and the high school students with their provisional licenses because they needed extra manpower. Don't send in a tank or something. No, send in the guy who throws sticky purple balls at people. That's the strategy. They're like, well, we have them in the back line, so it's not that dangerous. I'm like, all of you should be fired.
Yeah.
Also, and to reiterate, the bad guys get guns. Guns still exist. Tanks and planes still exist. Like,
but people just don't use them.
So why would you send the 12-year-old who slides around on acid who's pink when actual police exist? Who at least have riot shields. Objectively more useful.
Well, I mean, they wanted a self-insert character for them for being on acid.
That'd be more interesting. If the acid person shot LSD at people, that'd be a far more interesting character and probably in One Piece. Like, One Piece has a character who can slap the gender out of you.
Right.
That's just amazing. That sentence being a canon thing in a series gives me life. So we do our first Ninja War, where they do like the My Villain Academia arc. They even changed the title card for a little while. Where the League of Villains find the evil scientist who's been making the mutant things. They never explain this evil scientist or why he's making mutant things, but apparently he just can.
Right.
And they decide, Shigaraki needs a power-up, so everything he touches disintegrates. Also, we'll give him All For One's power of having all the powers. Also, we'll give him a genetically engineered super body. And we'll put him in a capsule to do it. Then the villains will take over the other villains to make the Super Villain League. And then the heroes will fight the Kaiju villain. And then it just broke into an endless series of fights for like a year.
Uh-huh.
Then they took a break so Deku could be sad and edgy because he didn't defeat the villain. That lasts about 4 chapters. And then they do the exact same thing again. Also, at some point, Shigaraki fought some Star and Stripe person who has America powers, who had like a really busted power that any 3 things they say become true. And then like stole their power, but then they set their power to rebel against his power, so he had to get rid of their power. And then that never really, Chekhov's power never really came back.
Not yet.
And then they did like Dark Deku, where he ran around for like 5 minutes. And then the school decided to try and take down Shigaraki with ridiculous things like a flying school to trap him so his power doesn't work as well. And teleporting heroes to different locations to split up enemies. And then that's just been the series for like the entire runtime of... the entire runtime of Sakamoto days.
Nice use of our one F-bomb.
I stand by it. So now we're caught up. And that's the point is, the first 5 arcs took me about 3 minutes each to explain. The most recent 2 arcs, I explained in 1 sentence. Giant battle with all the named characters. For some reason. And they're like...
That's just 2 in a row.
Yeah, they took a break for Deku to like run around and be edgy. But not really, because he wasn't an edgy character. But he had to like go learn his superpowers off screen so he could pull them out in dramatic fashion during his fight. And remember, none of these characters have finished their first year of high school yet. And that is my problem with My Hero Academia. It has the opposite problem of World Trigger. It went too fast, so none of the climactic things matter. So there's a scene where Bakugo's heart stops because he fought All For One after All For One beat up Robo All Might, who was in a mech suit made from a car.
Okay.
So they just pulled in some side characters from the first movie and made them canon in the middle of that chapter specifically to give him a mech suit.
All right.
So All Might loses to All For One in their dramatic rematch because he has no superpowers, and also ironically undercuts the entire point of the show. So, if All Might could just build a mech suit to be as strong as a superhero, why did Deku need superpowers in this show? If All Might personally knew a guy who built superhero accessories good enough that he himself could fight the main villain using said accessories, why would he tell this kid you need powers to be good in this world?
Yeah. That is kind of weird.
And for the record, the main character, literally just the one character without superpowers, is tropey, but would have been better than just giving him, like, smoke and whip powers for some reason, because he ran out of things for him to do. Also, why would you ever need whip powers when whips exist?
Have they gone through all the 7 powers yet?
Yeah, and then he lost them one at a time in his battle with Shigaraki, because Shigaraki stole the power so the ghost attached to the power could punch Shigaraki in the soul.
Okay.
So yes, they took him off screen to give him 7 new superpowers, to then have him lose them one at a time against the villain, for the villain to take those powers one at a time, because by taking those powers it damaged his soul, to the point where the villain got the dramatic reveal that all for one, the evil villain is who gave him the power that murdered his family. I told this plot twist to my brother, who's about 3 years behind my hero.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, wait, wasn't that already told to us? His series-long plot twist was so not twisty that...
You should have just watched Prison Break?
No, Prison Break actually had twists. They were willing to be so stupid that it was twisty. But no, like, when you build your theory around, like, haha, the reason you're a villain was because I gave you the power that killed your family, I'm like, did you not occur to you that the guy who gives people powers, who showed up at your door after your parents died, after your power mysteriously awakened, and then recruited and groomed you, had nothing to do with... Did this not occur to you? Carl, if I show up to your house and say, sup, Carl, and then everyone dies of rat poisoning, wouldn't you think I poisoned them?
So one for all, that's the evil version, right?
Yeah. No, all for one's the evil version, one for all is a good version. All for one.
Okay, so all for one is the evil version. Is that a ghost?
So here was his plan. I will explain his plan. This is some Eisen bullshit. Like, the only thing missing is holes poked in a condom to make Ichigo be born. Which is canon in my head, by the way. But anywho, so, all for one is like, okay, my younger brother, one for all, will not give me his power. And then I keep being attacked by his descendants. So I found one of his descendants, their bearer's grandchildren. I went and met his parents and made them hate superheroes. So the kid would want to be a superhero, so his dad would beat him. Then when he was sad after his dad beat him, I gave him a power I specifically changed to turn people to dust when you're upset, but remove the other part of the power that could make them not turn to dust. So he'd kill his family, so I could show up, so I could train him to be my successor, so you'd have enough hatred to steal one for all, because apparently you need enough hatred to do it. Then, I cloned my own power, gave him the original version of my power, gave myself the cloned version of my power, right? Then I fought All Might, lost to All Might, but I trained him as my successor, genetically engineered his body into a super body, showed up as myself to lose deliberately so I could transfer my consciousness into a super body, so when he learned that he was the one who killed his parents, I could then jack his body and use it as my own body.
Okay.
Yes. That was the villain's canon plan.
And so basically now he's basically taken over Disintegration Guy's body.
Correct.
But he's been punched in the soul too much and
doesn't have access to all his powers because he got punched in his souls by the powers he was trying to steal. And then Deku's like, I need to save Shigaraki from this. So I'm not going to try and kill, even though I've been punching him so hard that it makes nuclear fission. Which is less cool than nuclear fusion.
Right.
So that is the villain's canon plan in the series about a kid going to school of superpowers. He did one of those bad Xenatos gambits where it's like, wait, there's so many parts of your plan that just don't work. So part of his plan involved Shigaraki reaching his ultimate form to fire a blast to then bust himself out of prison. He could have just got the death penalty. Like, if the heroes had just put him in a different prison, flew him overseas to America, or shot him. And I keep saying this shot him, because no one has a bulletproof quirk somehow.
Right.
He'd just be dead. And the thing is, they use a gun to shoot anti-quirk bullets instead of a gun to shoot bullets. Also, there's a gun that shoots anti-quirk bullets at the villain's head that also would have just completely defeated his plan. Or, if Shigaraki didn't get into a test tube by a strange doctor to genetically modify his body into a super body so he could have a clone version of the main villain's power, his evil plan wouldn't work. What if the person you deliberately trained to be full of hate decided to hate you? He just had to, and also to find the doctor, he had to show up to where the evil villains were, and then fight Mechagodzilla to then get warped into the laboratory that then got raided by the heroes at the same day. So if the heroes were 8 minutes sooner, this massive plan that was completely based on coincidence wouldn't have worked. Like, could you imagine part of Orochimaru's plan to steal Sasuke's body was to make sure that Naruto made Sasuke sad enough? Oh, also Bakugo's heart stopped, and then he used an explosion to restart it.
Sounds reasonable.
No, my brother pointed this out, and it was actually kind of beautiful. So, nitroglycerin is heart medicine.
Uh-huh.
Bakugo's power is to create nitroglycerin beads that he then flicks to explode.
Okay.
Bakugo has the only scientifically valid power to restart his own heart.
And yet he used it improperly.
He used an explosion instead of the nitroglycerin he produces to start his heart back up. The thing they give to people who need to start their heart back up. That is correct. That shouldn't bug me, but it's like... It's weird. Like, it's like if you gave someone a healing power and then they Mustang seared their wound shut. It's like, yeah, but you have a healing power.
Yeah, the wound that they seared shut will heal faster.
It's stupid. It's so stupid. It'd be like if you were like, Natsu eats fire. And they're like, cool. He's fighting a fire guy. What's he going to do? And he's like, pull out a water gun. It's like, but he that's the thing he does. It's his thing.
That's true. That is his thing.
So I think I've summarized all of My Hero. Is effectively it's been all for one's improbable, ridiculous plan, which they're going to probably add the final twist that the same doctor that gave Shigaraki his power is probably the one that stole Deku's quirk when he was a kid, so Deku didn't have a quirk. I kind of hate everyone is connected storytelling. So, there's 3 tropes in anime I've noticed recently that I very much dislike. Oh no, you're completely silent. You don't want to hear about the anime tropes I dislike. Is it because I went over the time limit? Or because you're in a random hotel, possibly with ghosts, possibly in California? Come on, Carl, reconnect to the episode, or I'll have to wrap it up. Well, I don't want people to sit in silence, so I'm still going to give my monologue about 3 anime tropes I don't like, and hopefully my co-host reconnects in that time. Trope the first. When a character is revealed to be part of a secret lineage. It is a thing that's happened in Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, and it's this big dramatic reveal that, oh, I'm special because my ancestors were special. Usually in a series where the theme is about working hard, getting better, and hard work overcoming natural talent. It's just a frustrating trope. The second trope, that is a annoying recurring trope, is the classic, no matter what I do, I am connected by fate, and every character specifically knows every other character because they were linked in some way. Like the classic Final Fantasy VIII, they're all orphans together. And the third trope I dislike is when Carl has returned to the chat while I'm explaining tropes I dislike.
Okay, so sorry. Everyone is connected. No, secret lineage.
Everyone is
connected.
And I forgot the third one. But yeah,
like you literally just said it.
Yeah, but the everyone's connected one, where it's like, yeah, as children, we all have shared amnesia and we're from the same orphanage or whatever nonsense. It's just so tacky. So if they reveal Deku's dad is All For One or something, or reveal that, hey, your quirk is the one that was given to Shigaraki to kill his parents, that's an unnecessary connection, and a thing that live-action adaptations love to add to plot threads that weren't connected.
Okay, so do you honestly think that's something that they're going to try to connect?
I think so, because they showed that same doctor when they showed a flashback, and the doctor's like, your son has no quirk. So they set up Chekhov's Your Son Has No Quirk because they used the same character model for the doctor who specifically was a doctor who stole quirks. So if you set up Chekhov's quirk, there's no good way for it to pay off, right? Because the obvious thing is the doctor stole the Disintegrate People quirk from Deku and then gave it to Shigaraki.
Right.
Because if it's any other quirk, then it has no narrative significance. But if it's that quirk, it's obvious. Now, a really good writer would do something twisty here, right? Like, I don't know, Deku's quirk that was stolen from him is somehow specifically like I don't know, something that'd be like, yeah, if he had this quirk, he would have just been a hero from the get-go. Or, oh no, if you had this quirk, he would have been a villain. Like something twisty with it.
Okay, but so then how does his plan involve All Might giving Deku the...
So that is the...
All for One.
That's what's going to be revealed. Somehow, that's the missing piece. that because if the villain's going to pull in Araku and literally everything was part of my plan, then he's going to have to explain how he somehow made All Might give Deku All for One. He's going to be like, I told the ooze monster to attack his friend in the middle of the street so All Might would see Deku be a hero. So then he'd give it to this kid so I could take it. But I don't think they're going to do it. That's what I don't want them to do. I would be sad if they did that everything's connected in that way. Nonsense. Like the classic Bleach, I sent Rukia because she was angsty, so she'd get distracted, so Hall would attack her, so Urohura would put the Hogu in her, so I could execute her and take the Hongu.
Right,
like that kind of Xanatos Gambit has a couple too many steps to be believable. But like...
Right.
So either they're going to do a secret lineage thing, or they're going to do a your power that was taken from it is somehow narratively significant thing, or they're just going to not do that, and it'll just have that the doctor that saw Deku looks suspiciously like the mad scientist doctor, and we'll just have to accept it. And I don't know what would be the more satisfying answer there. And Jujutsu Kaisen's really bad for that thing, where apparently Yuji's mother was the main villain, brain in the head.
Wait, did I miss something?
Yeah. Yuji's mom was Kenjaku.
What? When did that happen?
I don't remember, but it did. Yuji's mom had the little head stitchy things as what's Kenjaku, and that's why Yuji has blood shooty powers now.
Yeah, I was wondering about the blood shooty powers.
Yeah, his mom was the brain in the head.
Wow. Now I have to sign up for Shonen Jump again and actually start paying for it to be able to reread this. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's part of what put me on this tangent where I'm like, I really, really hate the secret ancestor thing because while you're gone, I gave my rant that if you put on your series, hard work and effort overcomes natural talent or believe in yourself, but also your ancestors had to be stacked, really undercuts everything I believe in as a person. Because I don't believe a person should be determined by their DNA. But that's literally what's happened in a bunch of these series.
Right.
Because if it's the big reveal for Deku is that, oh, your dad or your quirk were what part of what made you special. Would just be like, boo this. Like if it's like Deku loses all his superpowers, so it activates a superpower that he had all along that never activated. That's the kind of bullshit I hate. Or Luffy's lineage I weirdly get a pass to because Luffy doesn't seem to care about it.
Okay, well, what is Luffy's lineage? Now you got me curious about that.
Well, his dad is like dragon emperor, like revolutionary army badass, and then his grandfather is Garp, the marine who fought Gold Roger, and then he has a D in his name, which is some sort of iconic thing that means something special. And then his brother Ace was Gold Roger's son.
Huh.
But they're only... You see, that seems like stupid bullshit, but the reason they were brothers is 3 kids were raised together in a middle of nowhere town because all of them had wanted parents. So It wasn't like, oh, my best friend happened to be this, happened to be that. So it was like, no, we literally raised these 2 kids together to keep them away from people because we needed to observe them because they were dangerous and they got ninja'd out of there by Garp. So it's like,
Garp.
Destiny doesn't bother me as much if a character made it happen. For, like, legitimate reasons. But yeah.
Fair.
That is My Hero Academia. A series which started like somewhat lighthearted learn your powers, that ramped it up too fast to be sustainable, kept changing the rules partway through, with a villain's plan so absurdly convoluted that Aizen would be like, man, this is some bullshit.
Okay, well, so just a random throw it out there. Mr. Sweetengu's plan was pretty absurd.
I loved
Speedgrapher.
But his was a web-based plan. His plan was a good Xenatos Gambit because there was no fail condition. So, Mr. Sweetengu's plan, and you explain it and I'll explain why his plan was better.
So, Mr. Sweetengu gave government officials superpowers so that they would overinvest in his pharmaceutical company, and then he would liquidate all of the pharmaceutical company's assets and use the physical cash to fill a tower, and convince the U.S. Army to blow the tower up and cause economic collapse in Japan to destroy a culture of greed.
So here's why Sweetengu's plan is good, and I like Sweetengu's plan. First off, his plan didn't involve anyone's descendants specifically in any weird way. It was literally, I have the superpower person and the superpower virus.
Right.
B, his plan would have worked if any individual component had failed him. So, if giving superpowers to politicians to get them to fund in him, let's say instead of funding in him, they just went on rampages across Japan. If all your politicians go on rampages across Japan, that still destroys the economy or shows its greed. Because either they invest in him and that's corrupt, and he blackmails them, or they don't invest in him, that's corrupt and he blackmails them. Because either they're on his side, or he's the only person with superpowers. So, like, what are they going to do? Say, no, I don't want your superpowers? And then you'll just send the superpowered people after you to kill you. Like, a guy says, hey, do you want superpowers? And you say no, and he has wings of blood. You're gone.
Blood that can cut diamond.
Yeah. So that's step one, is there is no fail condition there. He gave people who are already corrupt. Like, he could either blackmail them or they'd help him with their own free will, but they're screwed either way, because he lured them in with superpowers to his sex club.
Right.
Once you're the Prime Minister of Japan at the sex club with superpowers, you're already done. You're cooked. Second, his plan was to take already addictive products and add more additives to them. So, like, even if, like, he didn't have a mystery chemical to make beauty products more addicting,
right,
he was still also just selling meth on the street and going around collecting protection money. Like, he really had a diverse economic portfolio to funnel in money.
Right,
Because, like, he's the first person I've seen in fiction to be like, here's how you get people superpowers. What is the max way I can do a growth analysis projection for this? And as for the money tower part, once he switched out his assets to cash, getting America to blow up the tower was delightful. The tower still had a self-destruct engine in it. So if America didn't blow up the money, then Japan blew up the money from the corrupt politicians that blew it all in superpowers. So America being pinned for it is great, but it still would have caused the economic collapse to get rid of the Society of Greed when he blew up $1 trillion. And like he had like 4 methods in play for the $1 trillion. Also, crazy guy with superpowers who ran Epstein Island blows up with money still would have achieved the job. Whether he lived or died, it worked. Because all these people gave him this money that he blew up. And then he leaked online the messed up experiments that made all this work in the first place. So, like, he even invited a journalist. Like, so his plan was genius, because if he got stopped at any point in his evil plan, it would have sucked, but he still would have, like, achieved at least partial success. Like, it was really like, how much economic collapse did he crush at that point? Because his worst case was just a bunch of people with literally, like, addictive superpowers that make you get hyper fixated on things, that give you superpowers and OCD. We're just running around Japan causing chaos, which would be fine for him, because that's still bad for the economy.
Yeah.
Also, like, he didn't really do anything himself either at the start, so he's like, yeah, no, I got this on lock. Where, specifically, giving a hyper-specific superpower to the descendant of one of your enemies to specifically make him murder his own family so they'll become dependent on you, so you can groom them to be as psychotic as possible, so you can use them to steal the other superpower, so you can then steal their body with an experimental body swap surgery. It's just like 5 steps too convoluted.
I see what you're saying.
Because he already knew this whole family thing, and like the whole thing was, oh yeah, he wants to steal this power. But also, the power he wanted to steal wasn't even that good.
Oh?
Well, All for One's punch you hard power would be like, yeah, we'll keep passing it along till someone eventually defeats him. Wasn't... So the power doesn't reincarnate on its own, right? You have to physically give it to someone. Right. And this person personally killed all the users of the power. And, like, tried to take the power. He just had to throw a guy in a box.
Okay.
And, like, it's not like the power did anything like make you live forever or good. It just wasn't worth this level of scheming to try and do, like, psychic damage stealing. And his plan had so many unknowns that don't really make sense. And when your plan involves the emotional instability of a teenager, you've already done fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, raising someone to be psychotic, wouldn't you expect that to cause them to turn on you?
Like, innately by the very point of what you're trying to do. And
Yeah.
also, like, the weirdest thing is, like, he had this League of Villains, but it didn't conceptually make sense. It's like the Anarchy Association.
Mm.
Like, you can't... Like, people will tell me they're anarchists. I'm just going to throw some shade at anarchists out there. They're like, no, you want to do, like, a communist commune when you describe anarchy. Actual anarchy is people with motorcycles Mad Maxing you and exists around the world today. Actual anarchy is bad. What is an
Yeah.
anarchist without her association? Yeah. But the thing is, like, there's a lot to like in My Hero.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like I said, I want it to end because it's just been constantly trying to up itself. And we already used up 200% Deku, full power All Might, All Might's heroic death twice, Bakugo's death twice. Deku's lost his arm so many times. The number of times he's broken his arms in some way.
He got his arms back from the MacGuffin healing lady?
Yeah.
Is that?
She used her magic unicorn horn to rewind his arms.
Okay. But he still has no powers.
In theory. No, he has his original power of stockpile power, but he lost his 7 extra superpowers.
Wait. All Might's power was stockpile power?
All Might didn't have a power.
Right.
So the original power was stockpile power, and then with that stockpile power, all the other users passed along a power, which I really thought the twist was going to be you could only give All for One to people without powers, because that would have made sense to give it to Deku in the first place.
Right.
But no. So then he had his 7 superpowers against the guy with 5 billion superpowers, and one was just make smoke. And another was Spidey sense, but worse.
Okay.
Like, they weren't even, like, fun powers. The only one he really did anything fun with was the whip. Which, Eraserhead just had a whip scarf that did the same thing functionally. You could just buy on Etsy. Really, his superpower whip wasn't any better than just using the existing whips.
Right.
Also, the premise that you can't be a hero without quirks, when the guy's quirk is disabled quirk and he just fights people with whips. Just use the whips then! Obviously, you can be a hero without a quirk. Just use the gadgets.
Right. Because it's a series where you can build a mech.
Yeah! Like, literally, they fought against mechs, and I'm like episode 2, the test, like, to get in the school is fight these mechs, and I'm just like... So there's nothing you could possibly build to offset Sticky Ball Guy. Like, I couldn't just throw tape at someone. With the guy with literal tape rollers in his arms, I will never be at that man's level by just buying duct tape, I see. There is nothing I could do, no amount of batarangs, research, and gadgets that can offset literal forearm tape rollers, I see. It bugs me so much that heroes have gadgets. Like, Anti-Gravity Person just has wire grappling hook arms. And I'm like, that's enough! That's better than some people's actual power. You're now effectively as good as Frog Person. My hero. It just bugs me when a show and jump things like hard work, effort, and then it's actually just nepotism.
Well, I mean, I don't want to belittle the intelligence and creative spirit of the author, but it's hard to write a character that is genuinely smarter than you.
So, the character intelligence thing's fine. I think my issue with the series is it just kept trying to be epic, and I think it's in part because its contemporaries were also trying to be epic. But it wasn't an epic scope story. Like,
right.
Bleach was epic scope as soon as they went to Soul Society. You're like, these are 13 captains. But Bleach did something weird. It made its protagonist broken from the start. So, Ichigo from chapter 1's like, this person's way stronger than he should be. And they're like, every character up to that point is like, no, as soon as this guy learns how to actually fight, we're doomed because he's stronger than he should be. So, they didn't really train Ichigo in Bleach. They're just like, all right, let's just have our big epic scale fights. But that doesn't work when your character's an awkward 15-year-old who's socially anxious.
Right.
Like, Ichigo is the same age as, like, a lot of Shonen Jump characters, but he comes off like he's 20. where Naruto comes off like he's 6. And the first half of Naruto wasn't epic. It was small-scale stories. Where it's like, yeah, you're still bad parents. Because it's like, you sent your 12-year-olds out as ninjas, but at the very least in this world sucks comparably that you would need your 12-year-olds to be ninjas. And you're just supposed to be walking a guy through the woods till you get to this bridge. And that's like a big, high-scale task. And then in My Hero, they put these grade 10 students in the front line in a war against what was basically mutant ISIS. They had helicopters and funding. And like they said, like 20,000 people and a kaiju. And they're like, yeah, there's just no way we can do this without these kids. I'm like, are you sure?
How many kids did they actually send?
Like the entire 30-person class.
Were there any other?
Yeah, there's like 30
license
adults.
holders? No, I'm wondering, like, because like they're in grade 10 or something, right? Yeah. Are they the only class at this academia, like at the school?
See, this is like a weird plot hole. So they show the upper year because they're the first year class, and there's allegedly a second year and a third year class.
Right.
They showed 3 characters from the third year class. They're like, these are our top students. And just forgot that the second year existed? Uh-huh. Or to make there be 28 other kids in the third year class?
Huh.
And they're like, I think at some point they're like, yeah, this is just like our only class that went out and got their special licenses because this is a particularly good class. I'm like, that doesn't make sense, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, yeah, especially seeing as you just said they introduced their top third-year students.
Right?
You'd think that they would have shown up for the Great Ninja War.
And I think a couple of them did. But, like, the structure's just weird. Because it's like, he wrote his class and then contrived for reasons for them to be in big-scale things they wouldn't rationally be in. One thing I give Naruto credit for their Great Ninja War is that everyone was there, but also like 20,000 mooks. So you're like, yeah, no, literally every character is here over the age. They did leave the children at home in the Naruto Ninja War because they're not sociopaths. It was people who had graduated to the rank of Chunin that they sent to the actual war. They left Konohamaru and pals at home.
Right.
Because, like, ironically, in part 1 of Naruto, if the Ninja War broke out, Naruto would not have been there. But part 2 Naruto was there, which was fair. Well, part 3? Naruto really should have had a third part shift after the Pain arc.
Yeah.
But our episode's going long because I ranted so intently about My Hero. But what are your thoughts on My Hero?
Well, from the very beginning, I struggled with Bleach because there's 13 captains plus the 4 main protagonists.
I'll always love the one GIF that I sent you for Bleach that gave all the captains a dumb nickname, and I've used them to this day. Like Captain Hippie, Ninja Redacted, Captain Eats Your Face, Kampachi,
Captain Freak Show,
Captain I'm Better Than You,
Captain Tuberculosis.
They were good. They nailed it. 10 out of 10. They solved it.
It's kind of funny because when I talk to people who are actually watching the anime and they're like, I can't even think of any of their actual names. But they use the actual name. I'm like, okay, is that like Captain Hippie? Captain who? You know, the guy that like dresses in a big long flowery kimono and sits around and drinks tea, like Captain Hippie. And he's like, oh yeah, Captain Hippie. Like,
yeah, it works.
Why? Oh, yeah.
Although at some point, Aizen's code name changed to Butterfliesen.
Well, because he turned into a friggin' butterfly. Like his main body was actually just a chrysalis.
Butterfliesen, and then his butterfly wings turned into snakes for some reason. Butterfliesen was awesome. All right. But I think, any last closing thoughts? Because you started with Bleach captains and then...
well, it's a lot of characters. And My Hero, like, starts out just all in on 30 characters that all have names, they all have quirks, and they all have at least some small role to play in the story. And it's just like, I gave up trying to keep track of it. Which character was important, what their quirks were, what their limitations were. And it does not surprise me that with that many unique powers developed so quickly early on in the story, that it became an inconsistent mess.
See, what's kind of funny, too, is originally I was going to do this episode and talk a bunch about X-Men with it, but turns out I can use an hour on my hero alone. In X-Men, they have, like, typically 6 or 7 core characters, but each episode really only used 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
And that was reasonable, and it usually didn't follow the same character, like, more than, like, 2 episodes in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And the parts of My Hero I liked were the smaller scale parts, because it did just that. Their school festival worked, because, like, okay, single elimination matches, or we have 3 people doing a little cavalry battle, or we have them doing a race, you can track it more easier. But when it started breaking into hyper-specific 2-on-2, 1-on-1 fights, I lost track. And then World Trigger, me and my friend made a spreadsheet.
Yeah, World Trigger.
To be fair, World Trigger actually only followed 4 characters, though. Like, there's all these characters introduced, and they did not matter.
It didn't matter until they put them in a capsule, and suddenly they're like, oh yeah, this character, and this character, and this character. It's like, who are they? Why do I care?
Remember, World Trigger ended after they finished the rank war, and they learned about the World Triggers, and it ended?
Yeah, I forgot about the ending after you learned about the World Triggers, and it literally did nothing.
Yeah, it just ended. They didn't go immediately into another series of tests. There's no way. It just ended. There's no boat with Kurapeka on it. No, it ended when Gon climbed the tree.
Yeah.
All right, so we got some top-tier random questions in this week to wrap this up.
Okay.
First question, and this is my favorite one I've seen so far. If your legs were replaced with appropriately scaled animal legs, what animal would you choose?
Appropriately scaled animal legs.
Yeah, and this isn't optional. You have to pick an animal.
Holy... What do you even mean appropriately scaled? Like, what if I choose penguin? Am I just gonna have like big long flamingo legs?
I think you get to choose in that case. Like, I think you'd you'd have the penguin feet, and like, I don't know. You gotta went like lower to the ground in this scenario. Like, I'm letting you like choose your optimal use of the animal leg, so you don't just explode.
Okay. Yeah. Penguin legs don't actually seem like a good option because my arms are too long. But I mean, I kind of like bird legs just in general. Flamingo legs, ostrich legs. I don't know.
Ostrich was high on my list, so I respect the ostrich legs. So my first answer is cheating, so I'll have to do a different one probably.
Well, you're copying my work?
No, I'm going to go with octopus legs, so I just have 8 extra limbs.
Are you sure? Because those things are like semi-sentient.
No, I'm not being Octave. I'm not making robot ones. I'm not an idiot. I'm a kraken-like creature in this scenario.
No. All I'm saying is that there's like neurons in an octopus's tentacles that can react to prey and other.
How dare you canonize Dr. Ock?
They react to stimulus before the main brain does to capture prey more efficiently.
So I have motor dysgraphia. If I had limbs that automatically caught things for me and stopped me from falling and prevented me from walking into things,
yeah, okay.
Like that would probably be like those limbs would be smarter than my limbs.
Yeah, you just end up being like Stewie from the post-apocalyptic episode.
So, but I also don't know if they would count as animal legs because I'm cheating to give myself like superpowers here. So I might just go with like appropriately scaled honey badger legs because them shit move fast and nearly indestructible.
Yeah, but I mean, so anything 4-legged, do you also get the rest of the 4-legged body?
I have to say you get to be a centaur if you want to be.
I don't want to be a centaur.
That's untrue.
But I'm wondering how... No, I definitely don't want to be a centaur.
So I remember when we were talking about your D&D characters. Like, remember, if you're a centaur, it'll be awkward to do things. But I regret not letting you centaur. I shouldn't have talked you out of it. That was my bad. It would have been funny every single time if Thedric was a centaur. He would have weighed twice as much.
Yeah. See, that would have been excellent.
People could have rode Thedric into battle. Like, it was my bad. I should not have discouraged this. In my brain, this isn't practical. And I'm like, wait, it's D&D. I've very much loosened up on my D&D restrictions I put on people. I've gotten better at ad-libbing with people's nonsense. But yes,
Okay.
if you centaur, you centaur.
Yeah, okay. But no, I'm sticking with bird legs. I think that'd be fun.
Like, cheetah legs feel lame. Kangaroo... no, I'm going kangaroo.
Ooh, yeah, well, no, see, the kangaroo legs are less useful without the tail.
Can I have the tail?
No, the question was about legs.
I guess I'll just wear a prosthetic tail to balance it. But, like, they're still pretty hardcore. Like, if I have a kangaroo leg and I kick someone, they're having a bad day. If I'm a millipede, I'm an actual sociopath.
Like a centaur with 1,000 legs.
It's so nightmarish. Absolutely not. Oh. All right, and the last question, because I mentioned we had some good ones. That was a good one, you gotta admit.
Yeah.
This one. If you're left on a deserted island with either your worst enemy or no one, who would you choose and why?
We've definitely had this one before.
Your worst enemy? Really? Well, it's possible
yeah.
I reread something someone put in twice. Oh, yeah, because I think I said my worst enemy was you, and I'm good to go.
You said your worst enemy was me, and I said my worst enemy was myself.
Yeah, all right. I got one other new one then to replace that one. That one was good enough that I used it twice.
I mean, it is a pretty good one. I just don't want to give the same
stupid.
answer.
If it was raining tacos, would you eat them?
Ooh. I probably would try. I don't because you obviously you would get a sanitary bucket and go out there and catch some tacos in your bucket because you don't want to get pelted.
So
by
I'm really
tacos
hoping
that are
these
at, like,
tacos have
terminal
little
velocity.
parachutes. Desperately.
Yeah, they better have parachutes because otherwise, tacos at terminal velocity, that's, well, terminal.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure I can't eat the tacos because I would just die. Like it's a Cloudy with a like if it were in a cartoon setting, like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, then I'm going for those tacos. Like I've eaten snow as a child, I'm alive. And show's mostly just dust.
I am thinking I would probably at least attempt to eat the tacos. Like
I don't
catch
have the budget to
tacos
not.
and make like a taco salad.
Right? Like
because it's gonna be squished.
However, the visual where you run out with a bowl of salad and the taco just explodes on it, and you have your taco salad and you return inside. Right.
Yeah, I'm not really. I said taco salad, but I'm not really sure what I would actually use as a bed for said salad because lettuce.
So it was you. So I assume nacho chips.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that sounds fair.
Like I'm pretty sure if you just catch a falling taco, you have nachos. And one last question, and we'll wrap up this exceptionally long episode somehow. Somehow I ranted longer about My Hero Academia than we did all 7 Star Wars movies. Oh, man. If you could be any form of potato, which form of potato would you be? You have to pick one. So which form of form of potato, good or service, would you use to represent you effectively?
What kind of potato? Well, what kind of like processed potato? Like I can't just like be a potato in the ground.
I don't know. Question's vague. Ambiguous goes on us. Like sweet potato fries are one of the best use of potatoes. But if I have to be a potato, then I'm Gladys from Portal 2.
Well, okay, but I mean, sweet potato fries are yams, are they not?
I will fight and die on this hill that if you call it a sweet potato, it is still a potato. And if someone can tell me right here, right now, what the actual difference is between a sweet potato and a yam, because they're allegedly different, I have seen no evidence of this. I have never seen a situation where I needed a yam instead of a sweet potato. I don't know if they're different. I think yams are fictional.
I don't know who told you they were different because I've always been told they're the same.
Like, I just Googled it. No, yams and sweet potatoes are not the same. And then there's a photo of the same looking potato next to each other. And I'm like, no, what is them? That's just the same potato. I call bullshit on this entire concept.
Anyway, I'm going with waffle fries.
Nice. See, I want to be like twice baked potatoes and all pretentious, but man, oh man. Like, if you get some like cayenne pepper mix on a thing of sweet potato fries and some chipotle mayo, that's how I want to be remembered in this world. At least neither of us were the psychopaths that went potato pancakes. While good, are deeply confusing.
They are very confusing, but potato pancakes, they're all right. They're just basically shredded pancakes, or shredded potatoes made into pancakes.
It's like potato pancakes need to be paired with like a ham or something for like the balance. But with that, thank you everyone for tuning in to this hour and 40-minute episode where I just whined about a series I used to enjoy.
Yeah, and I gave you guys an intriguing theory about semi-retired contract killers.
If I was actually if I actually edited these videos, I would take that story and splice it into our secret villains trope. Like, that would have like paired together so good as the opening. Like, could you imagine if we structured these, like if we moved the Magic the Gathering skit to the start of the Magic the Gathering episode, where it would belong?
Yeah, well, I mean, the stuff that's new with me, I don't deliberately make it mismatch or unalign like that, but it just happens.
And the stuff that's new with me will never quite match either, because it's like, what did you do? Slam poetry night. Are we going to talk about poetry? No, I didn't make Carl read Robert Frost to come to this episode. The odds that you read Robert Frost on your own are not zero. I just don't know how I get an hour and 40 minutes out of that.
Well, what you do is you get us sponsored by Wendy's Frosties.
First off, Critical Role nearly got canceled over a Wendy's sponsorship.
Oh, really?
Their fans were so mad that they took corporate sellout money.
Oh.
Because they literally did a one-shot sponsored by Wendy's who put out their own like Wendy's-themed tabletop RPG. And their fans were like, Wendy's is a terrible corporation. Yet, I'm like, you guys don't cut people the slack they deserve, because, I mean, if someone were to offer me a burger right now, and the terms and conditions were I would just say that burger was delicious. Unless they somehow sent me the Carl chocolate pancakes of burgers, that burger at 11:15 is probably going to be delicious to me.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm probably going to end up married to a vegan.
Ooh, the irony.
I've killed so many animals. Not really. Just lobsters. I don't even know if they have souls. No, we know they do. You need those to garnish sandwiches.
The souls?
Yeah. The Jake sandwich is garnished with lobster soul.
Oh, yeah, okay, I missed that deep cut. But, I could probably rant for a long time about Adventure Time, so...
I mean, I'm surprised we haven't yet. That might be next week. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, let's confirm to an episode and then not do it next week, because that'd be really funny, where we just straight up say, next week we'll be talking about Adventure Time, and then we actually do? Oh, the twist.
Well, I mean, we're going to Rocky and Bullwinkle the shit out of this.
Oh, can we do Rocky and Bullwinkle instead?
What? You never know, because at the end of every Rocky and Bullwinkle episode, they'd be like, next time! And then you go and watch the next episode, and they'd be like, last time! And it's like, it's not even the same as the last episode.
Which is such a good joke.
It's never the same.
So good. Clone High was pretty good for that, too. But with that,
yeah.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm not even going to try and sell you anything this week, neither is Carl. Just have a good day.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm trying to sell them a franchise so that they can meet me and compare me to their Carl tattoo.
If someone sends us a thing that says anywhere that because of our podcast, they got a pizza franchise, your boss is paying the rest of my tuition. You hear me? Like, I better win the first and only TJ's Pizza Scholarship if I somehow sold someone a pizza franchise.
Probably someone in Germany.
Oh, that would be so cool, though.
Oh, man, I would love to have... maybe it's sacrilege, but a Frankfurter pizza sounds delicious.
Oh, right? Although, you know what'd be really funny? Is instead of one of your franchises, they open Richard and Carl Presents Deep Dish and Dragons, the pizzeria. And the pizzas are literally the Richard, the Carl, and they're all the pizzas we talked about on our pizza episode.
Oh, well, they gotta throw in a salami and banana pepper pizza, because that's actually surprisingly good.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
That's what I had for lunch, because we were calibrating their oven, so we had to bake product to test it and make sure it was good.
You know what's a good combo? Barbecue base, cheddar, ham, pineapple, banana peppers. Next layer of cheese was pretty good.
And thank you for tuning in to a preview of our upcoming cooking show.
Oh, we really need to actually commit to the just straight up misleading next time, Vince. Next time on Deep Space of Dragons, Richard and Carl completely and accurately explain the solution to the Middle East crisis.
Oof. I definitely don't know enough about that. The guy that did the compliance check, he was like, "Oh, you know about this, you know about that." And it's like I was like, yeah, I was like, I really.
I could be in a room surrounded by university professors and be like, I need to do more research, guys. I'm not even gonna. But yes, everyone have a lovely day. Stay hydrated. Maybe have a stretch or two. I'm not your boss. Stay up late. Go to bed early. It's not my choice. Bye.
Eat banana peppers. Don't eat banana peppers.
Oh, my peri peppers have almost grown in.
Ooh,
oh, Miko tried to take a bite out of one and nothing funny happened, and I was disappointed.
Anyway, self-care, blah, 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 the drill.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, man. I think My Hero makes me sad, because it's like, oh, is it anime X-Men? Oh, you forgot what X-Men was about. I see. It's like when people say the new X-Men series is too woke, and I'm like, do you not know what X-Men is? Did you miss the metaphor? Morphs non-binary. It's like, yes, that is in fact how that would work. You are correct. But yes, I think that was a good episode. Ran a little long. I might literally not upload it this week and wait till next week so there's more upload time space.
That's how much upload space do we have per month now?
So we have 5 hours. But we were doing it bi-weekly, and now that we're doing it weekly again, we can actually theoretically get ahead.
Right.
Which would be very smart for both of us. Also, did you appreciate my free rent abridged joke I snuck in there?
That was pretty funny.